Chelsea are set to make an informal offer for Erling Haaland this week in the build-up to the deadline. This comes from Jan-Åge Fjørtoft that believes that by the end of this week, Chelsea Football Club need to have come to a resolution. The informal bid being publicised here by Jan is pivotal. It's long since been reported that Chelsea will only submit their official bid if they know it is going to be accepted. So if we cut through the semantics of this deal, Chelsea are making their final push this week to land Erling Haaland. That is the only important element here that I think Chelsea fans need focus on at this moment in time. The final push in this transfer window this week ahead of the deadline that's been told to us by Jan-Åge Fjørtoft. Chelsea are making inroads into it. We want to gauge your views and your opinions. Do you think Chelsea will be successful? That's what we want to know today. Yesterday, when we spoke about the resolution being found by the end of this week, there's a lot of people speculating as to whether or not that was true. Big news around Lukaku this morning as well. 2 informal offers made for him that have so far been turned down, with Chelsea, of course, concentrating on Romelu Lukaku, who has always been their second choice backup if Haaland wasn't attainable. Also going to be delving into the situation at Manchester City. They have made a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish has agreed personal terms, it is reported, to join them. But according to Fabrizio Romano, earlier on today, this deal needs to be concluded over the next couple of days. Everything between the clubs and all parties needs to be resolved. Otherwise, it is likely that Jack Grealish may sign a new deal at Aston Villa and stay and reject a move and do a big U-turn and stay in Birmingham. Aside from that, Harry Kane, we know that he didn't arrive at training today. We know that that is his personal choice. He's looking more and more likely that he's pushing for a move away. But that being said by Fabrizio Romano earlier on about Jack Grealish not wanting, maybe doing a U-turn, wanting this resolved quickly, it has been reported by a number of outlets, including James Ducker from The Telegraph, that Man City are very, very confident that they can land both Jack Grealish and Harry Kane this summer. And that is the big talking point tonight that I want to jump through with each and every single one of you. Do you feel that Jack Grealish and Harry Kane are both attainable for Manchester City? Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. Here we go. Welcome back to the Terrace. Good afternoon. Welcome one and all. What an exciting day. As I tweeted about yesterday evening, I was just getting ready for bed, sorting myself out. I had a shower, brushed the old pegs. I just sat there and thought to myself, it's going to be a big week this week. It's going to be a big, exciting, and potentially explosive week. And what a start we have had. And it's still only just before 4 p.m. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another twist or another turn. And what we heard today, that Christian Romero is closing in now on his move. He is pushing for that move to Tottenham Hotspur to get it done. Lukaku bids or informal offers or whatever semantics you want to use to describe it. Harry Kane not arriving at training. Harry Kane looking like he's pushing for that move away. Jack Grealish, decision incoming very, very soon indeed. Chelsea now tipped to make this informal offer. And we know the informal offer, doesn't matter if it's informal or formal. It is the same difference. Chelsea looking and pushing to get this Haaland deal over the line. Exciting times ahead. No doubt about that whatsoever. I want your thoughts and your feelings on these deals right now. I want this to be from you right about now. I want to hear from you. Let's get to some of your comments that are coming through right now. What's being said here? Come on, Chelsea is what we're seeing here. Ben says not likely, probably one of those two. Terry, does it seem right that you make two informal bids for a second choice? Yes. The great thing about an informal bid, which is another reason that clubs do this, is I want to make sure it's said in exactly the right way. The reason that people are, excuse me, I was reading something there. The reason that it's important to, I've just got to delete something and I'll go back to it later. The reason that it's important for the informal bids to go in is if that gets accepted, or they know it will be accepted, it gives you that comfort. So, for instance, Shane, say today they put an informal offer into Milan and say, look, would £85 million be enough? And Milan say, look, begrudgingly, we would accept that because we need the money. Chelsea have that fail-safe in place. They won't want to put an official bid in for Lukaku until they've come to the end of the road with Haaland, because once that official bid goes in, that's when the process becomes a lot quicker in terms of finalising total agreements and completing the deals in terms of signing them off. So the informal offers actually work quite well for clubs that are spinning a number of plates at the same time. They're generally done through intermediaries in that regard. So yes, I do feel that it would be worthwhile them having. And those informal offers can be as basic as whoever the intermediary is. Can you find out whether £65 million plus Tammy Abraham would be accepted? I'm just throwing that out there as a pure example. That's how they're done. So when I read the stories today that Chelsea have had two offers turned down, I don't necessarily look at them as being official bids. It's all about the semantics, and different journalists report on transfers in a different way. It's seemingly that the language is just different depending on who you talk to. Some people call them only care about official bids. Others just look at all these things as offers in one way, shape, or form. So do I think it's normal? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. Let's have a look at a few more of these comments coming through here. I hope Grealish stays at Villa. City don't need him. I think they should be focusing on getting Harry Kane. He would absolutely bang goals at City. Listen, I still think they can get both. And that's the first major talking point today. Can they both come in? I'm looking at the poll we put in. 29% of you think just Grealish. 14% of you just think Kane. But 57% of you that have voted so far think both can be landed. And as I said already, I think both can come in. I do think that both are available. I do think that both can come in. I do think that both can be achieved. Like, legitimately, I feel that both can be achieved. I really do. I really think that both can be achieved today. I really, really do. I think that can come in. I think that can come in. I'm just checking something here. This is from Jan Fjortov, so on a different subject. Because like I said at the beginning of this week, I think this week is the deadline. The cup starts in Germany next weekend. I still think an informal offer will be the case because nobody wants to lose their face for 2 months. I've said only a crazy bid will get it done. We quoted that there was what Jan Fjortov said, and a lot of people are asking where we got the quote from. So I'm just trying to pin that in. Ooh, interesting here. 7 minutes ago. Oh, wow. Big breaking news here. Big breaking news here from Matt Law while we're live on the air. Lukaku has jumped to the top of Chelsea's wanted striker list, with Borussia Dortmund showing no signs of altering their stance. That comes directly from Matt Law. Matt Law has just put that out right now, ladies and gentlemen. Big breaking news. Big breaking news. Wow, that is huge if true. Matt Law, very well informed. And it's interesting. One of the things a caller of ours suggested the other day was, what if Chelsea have already made their informal offer for Haaland and it was turned down? What if Dortmund have said, we don't care if it's 150, Chelsea, we're still not accepting, and they have now changed their direction? Matt Law kind of backing up what Simon Johnson from The Athletic said earlier on today. Now, this flies in the face. This flies in the face of what Fabrizio Romano said just a day or two ago, that Lukaku won't leave. It's a non-starter. It's a dead deal. Massive update there from Matt Law. Wow, that's interesting. As we say, Jan Fjortov thinks an informal offer's going in this week for Haaland. Matt Law now believes that Lukaku is going to be the main feature. That is gargantuan. 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 Gargantuan news. Massive news. And I want to play a clip for you. I will show this clip. Just over a week ago, Dean Jones was on this show, and he spoke about Lukaku still being an option. He was laughed at. He spoke about Lukaku still being somebody that Chelsea could bring in. But he said the next 2 weeks will be decisive. That was 7 days ago. It looks like Dean Jones, he hasn't predicted who's going to come. But it absolutely looks again like Dean Jones is bang on the money. And I'm not surprised because him and Matt Law know each other quite well. So I'm really not surprised by that. But that is big breaking news this afternoon. We want your thoughts and we want your feelings. Call into the show now. Ace says it's a smokescreen, and some will believe that it is a smokescreen, but we shall see. That is gargantuan news, ladies and gentlemen. Massive news. Absolutely massive. Right, let's go to the first caller. Josh is here. Josh is an Arsenal fan. Give me your thoughts, Josh.
Yo, what are you saying, Terry? How are you, man? You good?
I'm very well. What do you make of this Chelsea news this afternoon? First of all, Lukaku reportedly now the number one target. Give me your thoughts.
Well, honestly, I'm not surprised, man. And also, I shouldn't really care if Chelsea get, to be honest. But why would Haaland go to Chelsea just because they won Champions League? Like, nah, man. Haaland should stay at Dortmund and he should progress to Barca when he's obviously finished his career at Dortmund if he decides to stay there. But I shouldn't see the point in going to Chelsea. Like, no point. So
why is there no point against Chelsea?
Because he will turn to Timo Werner, and all of us know how shit Werner is. So
you honestly you truly believe that if Haaland goes to Chelsea, he's going to turn into Timo Werner? Come on.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Yes,
You don't believe that. You don't believe it.
I do. 100%. I do.
Come on, listen, Josh. Thanks for the
Come on, Terry.
Go on.
Come on. And also, if we sign Martinez and Madison, I will be so gassed. But I have to see what happens first. So hopefully we can sign them.
Yeah, I can't believe what I'm hearing from you, mate. You're normally very level-headed. You think Haaland's going to do a Timo Werner?
Yes, he is. Yep, 100%.
Oh my God, I can't believe my ears. Listen, Josh, thank you for coming on the show and having your say. Chelsea fans, phone us up now. Get yourselves on the line now, Chelsea fans. Lukaku, according to Matt Law, has now become the number one priority. Keenan is now on the show now. Sorry, Keenan. Yeah, Keenan's now on the show. Another Arsenal fan to have his say. What's on your mind, buddy? Hello, you going to speak, bro? Okay, I can't. He's not there to speak. So let's go to some of your comments that are coming through here. I thought, oh boy, as well. I thought, oh boy, as well. This Josh guy is a baby. Listen, Josh has called him many times. He's generally speaking been a good lad. I can't believe it. Yeah. That's mad. That is mad. There we go. A lot of people saying it isn't massive news about Lukaku. I think it is. I think it is massive news. It tells Chelsea fans that you're going to be signing a striker. I think it's huge. Joe Kane is now on the show. Joe, what do you want to say, mate? Oh, Joe's disappeared now. Hero's on the show now. What are you saying, Hero?
Hello. Just before, I just apologize if I might sound like a child. It's just my mic. But Haaland to Chelsea, I mean, Josh said he might basically become Timo Werner. I highly doubt that. Bearing in mind Haaland scored 40 plus goals last season. What are the chances that he does turn into Timo Werner? I think that is highly unlikely. Talking about City signing Grealish and King, City did get done for FFP last season, but it was overturned. Do you think that might get done for FFP this year, or do you think the rules have changed?
I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen with the Premier League because I don't understand the situation enough. I think we need to be very, very mindful before like judging that situation. What I will say is that Man City do have the money to pull off both signings. They legitimately have the money to pull off both signings, sir, because at the end of the day, it's going to cost about 220, 230 to sign both those players. I can't remember which year it was. I want to say 2016 or 2017. They spent more than that in the summer on, say, 5 players. They only need 2 players. They've got the money to do it. They're going to raise the best part of 100 million by selling players as well. Some big loan fees on the way in as well. I think Man City are going to be absolutely fine. Hero, thanks very much for coming on and having your say. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Keenan is back with us now. Welcome back to the show. What do you want to say?
Hey, I think the comment that Haaland's going to turn into Timo Werner is just crazy. He's pure class, man. I mean, the guy's gonna bang goals, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, Chelsea need a striker. So, I mean, Lukaku is he's up there with Haaland. He's up there in the top 10, top 5 in the world. So to say that Lukaku is, a downgrade on Haaland, I think is the wrong way to look at it. I think Haaland is just younger. He's going to have more years. He's going to have a better resale value. But in terms of performance in the Prem, I think Lukaku's they would be neck and neck. They're equivalent players. So I think it's not a downgrade to go with Lukaku if you can't get Haaland.
Yeah. And that's why when I haven't commented back because I can't sit here and keep typing on Twitter while talking. A few people have said it isn't massive news. I'm about Lukaku becoming the priority. I mean, it is massive news because Chelsea fans just 2 or 3 days ago were upset and almost crying that they weren't going to sign anybody. This is pretty much coming from the most reliable Chelsea source in England, that if you don't get Haaland, you are going to jump back and go hard in for Lukaku, which marries up very much with what the Athletic was saying this morning. So from a Chelsea point of view, I would start to feel very assured that my team and the way we're operating in the market is moving in the right direction. In terms of the other big deal, Man City looking at Grealish and Kane, can you see a world where they sign both?
I think they will sign both. I mean, the footballer in me wants Grealish to stay at Villa because I want to see him thrive and, take him to the top. But, City are going to give both those players the chance to win trophies that they will never get at the clubs they're currently at. I mean, Spurs are a great club, but they're never going to challenge in Europe like City do. And Kane is getting to the end of his career, so he's going to want to go somewhere and get that Champions League trophy. And Grealish has the same level of ambition. So I think they'll get both of them, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed to see how that works. Thank you very much indeed for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it. And all the support you give to the Terrace, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
Top man. Thank you very, very much indeed. Another update here from Matt Laura I want to read out. It says, I've been off for a bit, so lengthy Chelsea roundup here. Chelsea prioritize Lukaku. Defender exit will spark. Official Kunde bid. And then Tammy Abraham, Loftus-Cheek, and Callum Hudson-Odoi news. That is all out and about right now. And what's very interesting about the Kunde bid is, and I'll explain more when this all goes through. I'm not going to speak about it as of now. I've been asked to hold back on it. But of course, this is becoming a new trend for football clubs. Official bids are now only going in when they're being accepted. I thought the way Man United did it and a few others, it was a little bit more innovative, but it's becoming an industry trend now that all the work is getting agreed behind the scenes. And once it's all done, then the official bid is almost like a, I don't want to how to word this. Like it's just a formality because the real ceremony has already happened. Like sometimes people go and get married in like a registry office and then they go and have like a big glitzy thing the next day. That's not the actual. Do you get when one's ceremonial and one is official? The official bid is a boring little thing. The ceremonial stuff and all the big stuff comes behind the scenes. So Koundé on his way to being a Chelsea player, no doubt. But Lukaku, the priority now for Chelsea. Very, very interested indeed. Is that a smokescreen? How do you think and feel about that? Charlie here says Werner's second to Mount for Man of the Match awards last season is what Charlie Costa has to say. Next, we're going to go to Brandon. We're going to get Brandon on the show with us now to come on and have his say. Who do you support, Brandon?
I'm a Chelsea fan, Terry.
Lovely. Nice to meet you, my friend. Give me your thoughts on this Lukaku news.
On the Lukaku news, it's really a lot to take in, really, because it's like I'm really good either way with whatever striker we get. Like Haaland was kind of already a dream for me, but Lukaku wouldn't be a bad second option. And then I'm just thinking about like how Lukaku still feels about the whole situation, still feeling like the second choice striker to Chelsea, and also Inter Milan wanting to take really still see him as untouchable. So it's really a lot, but hopefully they can get it done with either one.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like Haaland is that dream signing because of the quality within him right now. Does that make sense? He's become that dream signing because of everything that surrounds him and the hype and everything else. But Lukaku's brilliant. Lukaku for the next 3 to 4 to 5 years is going to put that ball in the back of the net on a very regular basis. You're going to shoot up the league table, in my opinion. You're going to finish more games off. And that's something Dean said just a few weeks ago. Lukaku's got this bit between his teeth. He's got this internal desire to want to prove people wrong, not only at Chelsea, but in the Premier League in general. So I think it'll be very, very good signing indeed. There's no doubt. And on your rivals, of course, this is happening adjacent to the big news coming out of Man City, that they are confident they can land both Jack Grealish and Harry Kane. So there's 2 questions there for you, bro. Do you think they'll land both? And if they do, can City with Lukaku catch them?
Wow. Knowing Man City, I think they'll actually pull off both. Like FFP still seems kind of relaxed to me. Like they're still also fighting off like that whole thing you broke like last week about like they're like cheating the rules or whatever you said they were doing. And Premier League might step in with that, but I still think they'll get Kane and Grealish over the line. So they'll still be like a tough team to beat. But I'm still gonna back Chelsea to win the title just because I got to. It's my team.
Mate, I 100% I back you. Listen, my brother, great call. Thanks for coming on. That's your debut as well. Did really, really well, mate. Top man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother. Next on the show, we're going to go to Man Like Gem. Before that, Mr. Stephen Fately here. Long time no see. Not seen you here in a while. I'm very, very well, and thank you for the compliment there, my friend. It means a great deal to me. Let's go to Fupa asked me, Terry, do you think City can pull off both Grealish and Kane? Yes, I do think they can pull it off. I don't understand people's skepticism. FFP rules have been relaxed for a year, and even if it costs $250, they've spent more than that in one summer before. So that's why I'm so confused. It's like me going out every Saturday night and spending 500 quid. And then there's a Saturday night where we're all going out and I'm like, I'm paying for everything. And someone's like, oh, mate, the bill's going to be £400. Like, you never spend that much money. Yes, I do. All the time. In fairness, I don't spend money anymore. When I go out as Don Terry, like, it's like it flows upwards. You know what I mean? Money flows upwards, shit flows downwards. So it's like I make the people pay for me. It's just a joke, by the way. In fairness, Jem, when we met, did pay for lunch. And then when I met KJ, we went out for lunch and Snack paid for it. So far, when I've met the Football Terrace panel, I ain't paid for nothing. But I've just secured the space for our meetup this weekend. Jem's here with me now, though. What you saying, brother?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are things? How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very, very good indeed. The transfer news today has been absolutely gargantuan.
It's going to be a mad week, right?
It could be. I mean, this could be a bigger week than transfer deadline week with the way things look right now.
Yeah. Listen, Harry Kane news this morning breaking him not going into training. You read what you want into that. I mean, I know I've been talking to some people on Twitter saying to me that it might just be that he's having his COVID tests or saying, so that's why he wasn't in. But Tottenham haven't confirmed that yet, so we'll wait and see what their remarks are to that. Listen, I think Man City can get Harry Kane. I think they can get Jack Grealish. I think that's their two main targets. If this is true and Harry Kane has actually not gone in for the reason of wanting to leave, then Man City need to react now. This is their best opportunity to react. And I think that if they do sign him, then they will be in a better position than even Chelsea to go on and continue dominating football for the next 2 to 3 seasons. And that's my honest opinion about that.
Yeah. Just very quickly, because I've been skimming through for the last 20 minutes this article. So what's been said here by Matt Law, word for word, is Thomas Tuchel wants a striker, but with Dortmund digging their heels in over Haaland this summer, it seems that his hopes of bringing in the big money number 9 may rest on whether or not Inter will relent on Lukaku. The situation could, of course, change if Dortmund suddenly show a willingness to negotiate over Haaland, but Chelsea are currently focusing their attention on Lukaku, which what I find really interesting about that is this is purely a suggestion, but I thought, what if Chelsea have already put in this informal offer for Haaland and it's been knocked back? That would make sense as to why suddenly the Lukaku links really reared their heads. And at the same time, it's also happened a day or so after Arsenal have shown genuine interest in buying Martinez.
Yes.
If Martinez goes to Arsenal, Lukaku is unavailable. And Chelsea have now got themselves into a situation where, imagine they don't get Haaland and Arsenal was to land, or anybody was to land Martinez, then suddenly Chelsea are left without a striker. So it's become very edgy and very nerve-wracking, even though you're working hard to sign these strikers.
100%. And I'd question as to why we don't go for Martinez. If that's the player that Inter Milan actually want to let go, and it isn't a Lukaku, I don't understand why Chelsea don't go for him. The guy's bagged, double-digit goals for the last 2 seasons. I know people saying he's not the type of player that Chelsea need in terms of his frame and etc. and stuff like that. But he's a proven goal scorer, and this is what we need to understand, because I was speaking to a lot of Chelsea fans earlier today, and they were saying to me, "It's got to be Haaland, no one else. If we don't get Haaland, it's we might as well forget it." Chelsea just need a goal scorer, whether it's Haaland or whether it's Lukaku. It'll be beneficial to us moving forward that we have someone that we know that can put the ball in the back of the net. And I am still quietly confident with Haaland. The Haaland news, only purely because we haven't heard anyone come out, any of the tier 1 journalists come out once and say it's off, it's not happening, nothing's going on. So I still think there's still a good opportunity that there might be a potential for Haaland. Would I be annoyed if we laid 100 million down on Lukaku and Inter Milan accepts it and it came to my football club? No, because we need someone at the football club to elevate us for the next couple of years, and he does that. He allows us to challenge for titles, and that's what we've got to understand here. It's not all right. We all have our own preferences, Chelsea fans. My preference was Haaland. Yeah, I don't want Lukaku, but if I know that it's going to elevate my football club and allow them to compete, then I want Lukaku. It's one or either or, Terry. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, mate, I totally agree. I totally agree with you, mate. I think it's an interesting comment here. I want to read this out from Neeks. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's this comment? Too many are coming through for me to keep up with these bad boys. There was a comment that came through from Neeks a minute ago. It's where he thinks all the strikers are going to end up that are available right now in their particular clubs. Here it is. Kane to City, Lukaku Chelsea, Mbappe Madrid, Haaland to United, Ings back to Liverpool, and Abraham to Arsenal. Now, for me, when I read that, barring Kane to City, the rest I'm okay with. Like, Chelsea are going to sign a top striker, but I'd rather you get Lukaku because it opens up the door for us getting Haaland. Now, I'm not saying we'll get Haaland, but wouldn't it be great if all those top strikers in the next year move to those clubs, but Liverpool end up with Ings and Abraham?
What? Can I start you saying with the Haaland to United thing? I've been hearing a lot of United fans over social media quite confident that if we don't sign Haaland this year, it will be United's. Are you on that same level as them, Terry?
I think Man United next summer will have a tremendously good chance of getting him. The reason this year was out of the question is because Sancho was the priority. Central defender was a priority above a striker because we already had goal scorers in our team. Maybe not a prolific number 9 of a certain age, but we had Bruno that can score, Rashford that scores. Martial had a bad year, but he can score. So it wasn't a priority. But if you just go back and, not that you follow United journalists as closely as I do, but they all said that next year will be the year that a striker is kind of looked at and reviewed. And if Haaland's available for £65 million, that's a snip.
It is,
And-
but it also becomes a bidding war, doesn't it? I don't see United just having what they did with Sancho and it
Well,
just being
no,
a walk in the park. That's the thing.
It becomes a fight over salary. It becomes a fight over salary. But I still think in a year's time, the Premier League clubs are going to be so far in front of our European counterparts, you can pay over. And if Haaland has another year where he's scoring goals galore, I almost don't care what we pay him. If I say he scores 12 goals, 10 goals, 12 goals in the Champions League next year and takes 45 goals in all competitions and he's just purring again. If we pay him 500 grand a week, I'm signing off on that. I'm saying fine, because he becomes even more of a guaranteed than I think he is this year. And I'll tell you now, when you sign a player, no matter how much you sign them for, if they score and if they score all them goals, no one cares what they're being paid, if that makes sense. And
But this is the feeling about with Chelsea fans currently at the moment. It's like we don't care how much it is to get him to Chelsea. We just want him there. We know that he's a world talent. We know that. I think he scores double digits all day for Chelsea. I think he breaks records for Chelsea depending on his longevity there. I think he breaks Premier League records if he comes to the Premier League. And this is why it's so important that from our perspective as Chelsea fans, that we get him now. And I don't care if it's 150, 175, even pushing 200 million. That kind of money that you're paying for Haaland, yes, is a lot now, but in the long run, it's not going to be. We will make it back on him. He'll win us major trophies, and we will make a profit on him. That's the way I see it.
And that's why, again, next summer, I would care less. I don't care what the salary is to a degree. He's not costing 150 million pounds. He's costing 65 million. At 65 million pounds, you could probably look at Haaland if he has a great season again, and you're looking at a 200 million pound player, easy in the market we're going into. So you think, right, okay, well, if he's worth, say, 150, I'm overshooting. If he's worth 150, but you're saving nearly 100 million pounds in the transfer fee, you can subsidize that by paying him the wages. Will the big European elites be in a position next year? And if Kane's already at City, and if you guys sign Lukaku, the one thing for Man United, we'll have no English competition for him. So I think it will literally, in my opinion, be fighting off Real Madrid and Barcelona next year. That's hard, but with the money that the English clubs have in comparison now to everybody else, United could certainly do that, especially when you think Cavani's definitely going to be gone by then, and you're probably looking at maybe David De Gea leaving by then. That frees up 500 grand a week in salary. So it becomes very doable for Man United in a year's time. So if I'm being a Man United fan for a minute and not the host of the Football Terrace, I hope Lukaku goes Chelsea, because it means we've got a great chance of getting Haaland. If you guys sign Haaland this week or this summer, he never plays for Man United, and it ends that dream for me. We're going to add Latimus to the stream with us as well now, ladies and gentlemen, but do me a big favor and smash that like button. If you want to phone in and have your say, please do. Breaking news this afternoon. According to Matt Law, Chelsea's priorities have slightly changed. They're focusing more of their attention now on Lukaku over Haaland because they don't believe that Dortmund are going to budge. Big news on that. Also, Man City have reported into the Manchester Evening News and into the Telegraph's James Ducker that they are confident of signing both Grealish and Harry Kane in the same window. We said this week was going to be explosive. It's not letting us down so far. On the show now with us, he's been away for a while, but he's back. Latimus Prime is here. What are you saying, laddie?
Hi. You guys hear me?
Yes, brother.
Yes, bro.
All right, cool. Yeah, this whole thing looks a bit like a smokescreen trying to force Dortmund or trying to get things moving faster for Haaland, in my opinion.
Okay, and you think that will work?
I think at this point, I think it has to work. I don't really see Lukaku leaving, and it's Haaland or bust. So it's not a thing of whether I think it will. It has to work. I think it's kind of getting to a point where it's desperate from Chelsea. Like they've already, in terms of Kane, he's probably going to go to City, and we've axed ourselves from ever trying to do that deal. Lukaku, they've already rejected twice, and Inter don't want to sell him. And if it comes to it, then they'll probably end up selling Martinez if they can get a good offer. So to think of, it's only Haaland now, and it's either him or nothing, or it's either him or we keep Tammy or we buy Ings or something like that.
I mean, when you say Haaland or bust, do you mean this season's bust if you don't get him? You're going to write your whole season off on it?
Well, no, I don't think we're winning the league anyway. So if that's what you mean, then sure. But
It's not Haaland or bust, then is it? It's just bust. You just bust.
well, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, but I mean in terms of
I just clocked what you said.
I mean in terms of buying like I mean in terms of getting Haaland itself. I mean like it's either him or like no other. We're not going to get a world class striker because like the whole focus has been on him, and like we've essentially took ourselves out of the race of attracting anyone else.
I don't think we go into this season without officially signing a top striker. I don't think we're as stupid as that. I don't think our board would do that. I'd be hugely surprised if they did, and then there would be questions to ask as to why that had been the case. I don't think we can compete on all fronts with Havertz and Werner. Havertz is not a clinical goal scorer. He's a goal scorer. He can score goals and he can contribute to goals, but he's not a goal scorer. And that's the big thing for Chelsea. I even think, look, like a Danny Ings could do a job at Chelsea. Why? Because we create enough to allow these strikers, opportunities to score goals. The problem you got with someone like Danny Ings is just that he gets injured and it'll be hard to keep him fit in all 4 competitions. I'd have him as like a second option once Tammy's gone, but we're still going to need that main striker. And this is why I'm saying it's not really Haaland or bust, because if we don't get Haaland, then I do think we're going to somehow get someone, whether it's Lukaku, whether we do something really mad and try and go for Martinez if they're not going to sell Lukaku. Something's going to happen. I don't know what, but something's going to happen, and I hope it happens anyway. So we'll have to see moving forward.
Yeah.
Wait, you think our board hasn't been this stupid?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
No, I know. I'm asking what you said. I'm asking what.
Whoa, stop. Chelsea's board hasn't been stupid. They're trying to land the most expensive out-and-out striker in the history of football. What have they done that's stupid? I don't get Chelsea fans that think their clubs behave stupidly. Who thought it was going to take 5 minutes? Come on, laddie. You're better than that. My friend. We're going to add some more callers to this stream now. Ziad is here with us now. What are you saying, Ziad? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Afternoon. Yeah, with this Lukaku, I honestly think this is the biggest smokescreen ever. It started off today with saying we've had 2 bids for Lukaku rejected. First of all, why would Chelsea announce that they've made 2 bids for their second option when we all know Haaland's our first option and that we've been chasing him the whole summer? And then even with this Matt Law that's come out recently, few minutes ago, he doesn't really say anything like amazing. Like he hasn't written off Haaland, is what I'm trying to say. He hasn't said Lukaku is definitely happening now because Haaland's is not going to happen. Dortmund don't want to sell. All he's really saying is Dortmund are being difficult, and Dortmund are always been difficult. When you look at the Sancho deal, Dembele deal, they've always been difficult when they want to sell their big targets. So that's why I'm still confident that Haaland will happen. And the smoke screen kind of makes sense if you ask me, because if you look at the outside of it, Chelsea have made 2 bids for their number 2 target. That must mean their first target is never going to happen. Where in reality, maybe what I've been saying is that we're working behind the scenes for the Haaland. We've already made that offer. The agreement is there. And then also, if we were to get Lukaku, it's going to be a lot of money. It's not going to be that much cheaper than a Haaland deal. Then the difference may be 20, 30 million max, because Lukaku, Inter Milan do need that money. If I'm not mistaken, they still owe United a bit of money. So they're not so they say they get 120 million for Haaland, for Lukaku, sorry, or maybe even more. A majority of that is going to have to go towards United. So they're not going to make much money from there. So that's that.
I do understand the smoke screen suggestion, but at the same time, you're only going to put the official bid in when you know it's going to be accepted, and you're not putting the official bid in yet. That's not being tipped as happening, which means the offers that you're willing to make clearly haven't yet been agreed by Dortmund. So this could put pressure maybe to make Lukaku push forward and see. But remember, in other news, as we said, someone here actually says, AB says, Terry, would you please cut Chelsea's Haaland offer incoming from the title? No, because Jan Fjorthoff has still reported on that and told us that. So it's still part of the saga. I had someone on Twitter said the same thing to me, saying, Terry, you've just shared the Matt Law information, but you also shared that an informal offer is coming in for Haaland. Those two things could both exist at the same time. That's how transfers work. Like you can work on more than one at once. It's not, transfers don't operate like one at a time. That's never happened with any kind of transfer where you're working on two at the same time. Plus, let me just reiterate this again. None of this is my news. This is nothing. I've read all this on Twitter, and my forum gives you the chance to talk about it. I just want to reiterate that in case anyone's not with the program. This is not my news. This is not Dean Jones's news. This is Matt Law and Jan Fjord. I need to make that clear. So we're talking about all of these circumstances that are going on here. Nabil says, welcome to United's world, Chelsea. Haaland is not coming to any club. Mino is greedy. He knows he and Haaland will end up making more money next season.
Oh, that isn't
the
case.
That isn't the case about this one. You can get your super chats in. You can sign up to your membership. Remember, we are running a competition for August that everyone who puts in a green super chat or more, and multiples of 5 mean you get multiple entries into our prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice, i.e., if you put in a £15 super chat, you'll get 3 names into the draw to win a football shirt of your choice. And one lucky winner will have their name and face framed and put up in Unit 7, the brand new studio for the football terrace. If you want to get that done, get onto it now. We're going to get Fetty Mac on the show next because that is a killer name. I love that name. Man's coming on to have his say on the terrace now. Who do you support, brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
How you doing, buddy? Who do you support?
I support Man United.
Lovely. What's your take on this big Chelsea striker news today?
Honestly, I think they have a better chance of going after Martinez. I highly doubt Lukaku wants to leave Inter, and we know Dortmund's not selling Haaland and Sancho in the same summer.
Yeah, I mean, do any of you? I mean, yeah, a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have suggested that that's the case, that that's true. They won't get rid of both of them. But do you think it's Lukaku now for Chelsea? Do you think that's where they're going to focus? Do you believe what Matt Law's saying?
Yeah, I believe they'll focus there, but Lukaku seems like this is the happiest he's been in his career. I doubt he'll want to leave that and take a gamble. You know, it would be great for him and Chelsea, but I don't see him leaving.
So who will Chelsea end up with, in your opinion?
Werner.
Haaland, say it, bruv. Come on. Say the words.
Believe the smoke. Believe the smoke screen. Believe it.
Haaland to United next summer.
Here they are.
Give
Here
it a
they
rest.
come. These United fans.
You know.
Here we go.
Thanks very much, mate, for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Just getting a little bit of feedback in there. Earbud, they do not like StreamYard. Next on the show, we're going to go to Winter Surfers in the house.
Hey.
The circus continues.
It feels like that, doesn't it? It probably feels like that.
I'm loving watching Chelsea Twitter because some people that have said they believe Matt Law in the past don't believe him now, and vice versa. It's very strange who you choose to believe.
And you know why that is, though? That's because people are now conflicted. It's Matt Law has said something, and he's normally very reliable, but it flies in the face of what Fabrizio has said, who's put it down, and people put a lot of stock in him as well. I said earlier on, I love Fabrizio, but I hope he gets a couple of things wrong, not to damage his legacy or his career or income, but to let people know that he isn't the only person who knows something.
He's human.
Out there doing,
you're exactly right. I don't. If Lukaku comes, I'm fine with Lukaku coming. He's top two thing. I'm fine with it. I said it earlier. That's what I said to you earlier, Terry. I hope we are working on both deals at the same time, and one happens. If Haaland doesn't happen, like I said to you, I want the next phone call to be to Lukaku's agent Inter to agree the deal, and then it's done.
Yeah.
He's a top quality striker. I don't care what anyone says. He's a quality striker. He's the only one other than Haaland I'd have. I'd be the same as Jem. I don't want another striker if I can't get either of these two players. I don't want to spend money, waste money. I know the guys at Man United said Martinez. I don't want Martinez. I don't think he's good enough for us. And I just want other Chelsea fans to realise, Matt Law's very close to Chelsea. Okay, he's not going to release something that he hasn't been told. He's not going to release something that's not true. It might not turn out to be true, but it's what he's been told. It's what he's been told. He's not going to release it without doing that. I remember he's been off for a couple of weeks on holiday. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So just if Lukaku comes, I'm fine with it, and so should other Chelsea fans as well.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? Sorry, Terry. I 100% agree with you in terms of Lukaku. He's an outstanding striker, Premier League proven, and a great option. But what I'm trying to understand is why isn't, if it's so true, why isn't Haaland happening? What is the reason behind it? Because the way I see it is, if it's a money issue, the Lukaku deal makes absolutely no sense. Because slap another extra 15-20 million, we get Haaland, and the difference between a Havertz, a Haaland, and a Lukaku, that 20 million is very worth it.
Exactly, I totally agree with you.
But I don't think it's money. I don't think it's. I think
it is
the element of money.
You think it's a release clause, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, it's if it's money to do with Lukaku and Haaland, then it isn't the fee. I think it's the salary and the knock-on effect the salaries have. They're both demanding very different salaries through what I've read. However, I just think it could just be, I think there's a real simple answer. Dortmund might just say no. It could be as obvious as just you've offered the money and they've gone, nah, we told you nothing. And if that's Dortmund might look at it and think to themselves, yes, we're going to lose it. Look, for me and you, it's like 85 million pound difference between this year and next year. However, who knows what the clauses are? Maybe they've got to give 30 million of that to Mino Raiola as his fee. So look, when they break it down, losing Haaland might own this summer compared to next year might actually only be losing 40 million, 50 million. But their view might be, without Haaland, we're not making the Champions League and we're losing that money anyway. So they're taking a risk. They're taking a calculated risk, but they're taking a risk. I just think that's more likely than it being over money, in my opinion. But it'll be an interesting one to see how that kind of transpires and moves forward. Winter Surfer, I want to get your views here. Harry Kane and Grealish. Do you think Man City can sign them both?
I struggle, Terry, because they're going to have to do something they haven't done before, and that's do a 180 on how they run their business transfer-wise, financially. I mean, but their owner did come out and said they would spend top dollar on good players, but I'm yet to be convinced, because the highest they've ever gone is Diaz last year, was about 65 million pounds or something like that. And also Harry Kane doesn't really fit the profile of, like, the age-wise of who Pep Guardiola signs as well. But I don't know if they pull it off and we don't get anything. You might as well just give Rapton the title on the opening day of the season. It's that if it clicks, if Harry Kane clicks with them players, I mean, it's going to be devastating for the rest of the league, and probably they're going to win the Champions League as well.
I hear you on that, Ziad. What's your views, mate?
In terms of, look, do I think they can do it? Yes, because they've got the money. Both players clearly are very interested in joining City. But I think Harry Kane will work. Look, with the amount of talent and players City have, you give him the opportunities, he will score goals. But with Grealish, the way I personally really like Grealish. I like the way he plays football, the type of player he is, the style of football. But I don't see him being as good as he is now at Aston Villa. And what I mean by that is, I feel like Grealish needs to be the player in the team, the man you give the ball to. And Eden Hazard-esque. He comes, receives the ball, takes on multiple players, creates a chance or scores a goal. And I don't think Pep will revolve his team around one player, especially when you've got an amazing squad. And that's why I think Grealish will be limited, because the light won't be on him at all times. He won't always receive the ball. He won't always be allowed to take on multiple players. When you've got someone like De Bruyne who wants to create chances, his whole game is to create chances for the other players. Have Grealish, I don't see him being as good as he as he is at Aston Villa, but he will definitely be a good top player. But will he reach the limits of Aston Villa and reach the limits of £100 million? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's certainly going to be interesting. I think they can pull both off.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see how Grealish fits into a very regimented system. The one thing I'd say about Harry Kane and Grealish, what they both do possess is the technical football ability to play under Pep Guardiola. And Harry Kane, why he's one of the best strikers this country's ever produced, because he's not only got the technical ability, he's got the finishing and the outputs to back everything up. And he's not as slow and slouchy as people sometimes like to make him out to be. So we take a look here actually at the polls on Twitter as it stands right now. Still 53% of the votes suggest that both could be coming. 34% think just Jack Grealish, and only 13% think only Harry Kane by himself. What I do find interesting, again, and this is my reading of the situation rather than anything I know or I've been told, very few journalists are giving the opinion that both can happen. It's like Clark Kent and Superman. You can't see those two. They're never in the same place at the same time. And I feel like that way with the opinion of that. You kind of get a journalist that will go all in about one, but then barely mention the other. And I almost think no one quite knows. But City have briefed the Manchester Evening News and James Ducker today that they feel confident they can get both over the line. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Prime, mate, thank you for coming on and having your say. I really appreciate that. We're going to get some more callers on here. We're going to throw in Matthew. Matthew's here with us, who's a Man United fan. What's your take on this news this afternoon? We'll start off, first of all, with City signing both Kane and Grealish. What's your opinions, mate?
Honestly, if they go for it, if they pay the money, I know they've got filthy rich owners. They want to win the Champions League. They'll go for it. The only standpoint is Daniel Levy, but I think if Kane puts in the transfer request, it becomes very, it becomes very uncomfortable for Daniel Levy to deal with that. So I reckon he'll sell Kane for the most he can, probably about 130 to 150 million, like Haaland. I want to give it a 60 to 40% chance of happening for both of them, but definitely one will join Man City.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens there. And how about the situation with Chelsea? Is it a smokescreen? Have they changed their priorities? Where do you think the situation and the land lies now with Chelsea's number 9 pursuit?
With this smokescreen, I can see where Chelsea fans are coming from, but simply from Jadon Sancho last year when Dortmund did 120 million euros, we didn't pay the money, we didn't get the player. So if Dortmund are asking for 175 million euros, pay the goddamn money or you're not getting a player. So you've got to pay up. Lukaku, I don't think that's a huge smokescreen. I think it's still an option. I think Chelsea will assess, obviously with non-official bids, but going to intermediaries with Dortmund to see if they will accept the 130 with 20 million add-ons. And they'll go back to obviously Inter. I don't think it will be 120 million pounds for Lukaku. I think it'd be close to 100 million, maybe with 10 million add-on. I just don't think they've got the right to ask for that kind of money when they quite clearly need it. So yeah, I'm going with Haaland at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me if Lukaku did go to Chelsea this summer.
I hear you on that, bro. Great answers, my friend. Thank you, Matt, for coming on and having your say. If you've got any other transfers you want us to go through or run through on the show, make sure you get your comments in now. Of course, we always prioritize the member and the super chats as a massive thank you for you keeping this channel going in the way in which you do. So a massive thank you indeed. With the big breaking news today, Jan Fjørtoft has suggested in no uncertain terms that he believes this week could be the week that Chelsea make an informal offer for the last testing ground to see whether or not they can formalize its official bid and get the deal over the line for Haaland. Matt Law has reported the priorities have now changed at Chelsea and Lukaku is the primary target. And in other news, James Ducker has said that City are confident of landing both their targets at Man City this year in Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. We want your views and opinions on this. Next on the show, my brother's here all the way from Canada. It's Canadian Cam. What you saying, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, very good. First deal I want to talk to you about, City. Are they landing the double?
If they do, if they do, we're done watching next year, right? Like it's over. I think honestly, this is a tough one, man. Like I think they can do it. I think City has bought their time. They've always bought their time. They always make big signings, but they don't make huge ones, right? It's always like these little ones, and we always have known they can do this. What might happen, like what we might see. They've been waiting for the right moment, and I think I would not be surprised. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I would not be surprised if Jack Grealish and Kane. The fact that Kane's skipping practice, that's crazy. Like that for me, like that says something. That means somebody's had a conversation, and that's what scares me about the whole situation, man. If Kane didn't skip practice, I'd be like, cool, he's staying. But he's skipping. He's trying to force this move, so it's gonna happen. I think. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. What's your take on that? Because I know a lot of people today have sort of said like Pogba would get a lot of crap if he did it. Why Harry Kane? And I understand like that sort of view and why people feel like that. But in terms of Harry Kane, though, like I'm not going to give Harry Kane any crap for doing it. What I find very weird about that notion is it's a correct statement to be made. Don't give Harry Kane the crap. Go after the publications that do it. It's not Harry Kane's fault. But on Harry Kane not turning up to training, what's your view on him doing that? Is that the right thing for him to do or the wrong thing?
He has no choice. I don't come down on players for this. I'm not one of those people. I agree with everybody saying if Pogba did this, people would be going crazy. But like, cool, that's not really Kane's problem, right? I don't think he's wrong for doing it. I think he's been a great servant to that club. He's made his situation clear. I'm sure when he signed his 6-year contract, he was like, please, if I ever do want to go, you'll at least like honor what I want. I'm quite certain of it. Like, I don't think this man would have signed a 6-year contract without trying to be like, you'll do right by me when the time comes. If they're not, by not selling him, he's got to do what he's got to do, man. He's got to win trophies. His career's coming to he's nearing the end. I'm not mad at him for doing it. Like it is what it is, right? Like you can't be mad at the guy for if he wasn't such a great servant to this club all these years, then sure, whatever. But now it's time. He's got to go, and they don't want to sell him, so he's got to do what he's got to do. I don't know why people would be mad at that.
Yeah, but
Stop short of giving a transfer request in. It's the most you can do about doing a transfer request. Plus, I really feel, in this situation, I feel sorry for Son. He's already signed a new contract. Harry Kane's on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some massive Harry Kane news that's coming out tomorrow morning, which might make you feel less sorry for Son when we speak about it.
Okay,
and
cool.
It'll make sense when we drop it, but it's not my news to share, and I will wait until tomorrow morning. But the reason I'm not bothered is this. If Haaland was doing I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans give today. Stay classy, get red-tear. If Haaland was doing today what Kane is doing, Chelsea fans would be doing jumping jacks in the street, naked.
Exactly.
We love it when players do this. They're a star player, and it's to our clubs. We don't care if a player does this if we don't rate him. Only when we love them that we find it wrong, and that's why for me. And I look at it the other direction. You know, where was the sympathy for Eric Lamela that was sold against his will? He didn't want to leave the Premier League and Tottenham, but he had to go. So that's why I don't mind players doing this, because when the clubs don't want you anymore, you are gone. You are finished. You know.
Yeah.
When you're, Chelsea Football Club, prime example. What is it? Once you hit 30, 31, it's 1 year extensions only.
1 year extensions, yeah. 1 year extensions.
So where's the loyalty? Where is the damn loyalty? These old like, there ain't none. There is no loyalty in football. So we shouldn't expect players to be loyal. When fans are the most least loyal of all of us, we are the worst in the world for loyalty.
Yeah, we're hypocrites.
So why ain't God's green earth should the players be loyal? It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
I understand that, Terry. I was sorry, Winston. I understand that, Terry. But at the end of the day, he is the captain of the football club. He's got to show a certain amount of respect.
Isn't Hugo Lloris their captain?
He will be now.
But there's a certain amount.
Yeah, but all I can say on the Harry Kane thing is this. Tomorrow, it'll all make more sense. Tomorrow, it's all going to make more sense in terms of what and why. One thing I know is a little bit like what I'm not too sure who said it. It might be in Cam. the club told him a year ago they would let him go this summer, and they're now trying to go back on their word. So there is this element of they've gone back on their word. So almost they've been the ones to like break the rules first. But tomorrow morning it will make a lot more sense on the terrace.
Terry, I will say this, Terry.
Very much coming on, mate. Having you say, really appreciate that, buddy. Cam, I did want to get your thoughts as well. Before we did that, we're going to add Donny James to the stream. Why are you sitting indoors with a mask on, son?
Sorry, the Doncaster Rovers wingers seem to be getting injured at the moment, so I'm trying to protect myself from injury and things like that, and COVID and stuff like that, because our players seem to be dropping like flies right now. So I'm trying to protect myself, but I'm back safe and sound, and I'm ready to discuss transfers.
No, man.
Terry, you were saying?
New season is back.
Oh, it was Terry. What were you saying, bro?
New season.
This I don't know anymore. Cam, Haaland or Lukaku? Which one of the two is going Chelsea, bruv?
Neither.
Oh.
Neither. I've all Chelsea fans get mad at this, but it's the truth. They've said they don't want to sell them. They're not going to sell two big players in one summer. It's not going to happen. They need to make the Champions League. Like you mentioned, the deal this year would have a lot of money going to an agent. So truthfully, the money that everybody's talking about them losing out on is not nearly as much as what people think, right? Because a lot of that extra money that they're going to be selling over the 73 or 80 something million release clause he has next year is going to an agent. So they don't care that much about it. And Lukaku wants to stay at Inter. He loves Inter. Like he's. I think I'll put it this way: if I don't think Lukaku would be happy to leave Inter at this stage, which is why I think that he's not going to leave personally. So I don't think either are going. I think what I think makes the most sense, and maybe take a clue out of United's book, is be patient, wait next year. Chelsea will still have a great squad. Their players are all young. There's going to be other strikers who come up. Like, who knows? Lewandowski might ask out. Chelsea is one of the few teams in the world that would be able to get that done. So I'm just saying, like, be patient if I'm Chelsea. If you don't get Haaland, if you don't get, like, Lukaku will be there next year. Like, I don't think they need to rush it. And I don't think they'll get either. That's just to answer your question. I don't think either goes.
How about yourself, Donny James? Which one of the two nines do you think will go to Chelsea, if any?
It's a hard one for me because, like, the Haaland situation is really interesting. It's like I still have this hidden feeling that Haaland may stay at Dortmund one more year. But if he's not going to win anything, then what's the point of staying another year if you're just going to win stuff in that same year with Chelsea instead? It's like I've just got an interview. I've got a job interview. So why would I delay that interview for a year if it's going to give me a little bit of extra income? So I think Haaland should go to Chelsea and win trophies rather than stay at Dortmund for another year and waste a year of his career. Well, not waste another year, but sort of build up those stats over the year, but then get a move cheaper. I think it's nice to see Chelsea splashing out the cash for a guy that's going to be worth a whole hell of a lot more than that in the next few years. So I would like to see Haaland go to Chelsea personally, but I just have this hidden feeling that he'll stay at Dortmund. So my mind at the moment is on Lukaku. And the reason why that is because he knows the Premier League. I think that this will be a more realistic move, and I think Dortmund will keep Haaland.
Interesting take. Interesting take indeed. Let's do some more of these comments that are coming through. Terry, 7 days makes it a month since you said sound against the Liverpool. Yeah, it was on. It's still on. The talks have gone advanced. I don't know what else you want me to say. It is not my fault, Franklin. I know you're one of these dudes that keeps trying to catch me out with things I say. But it's not my fault that Liverpool haven't offered him the contract that he wants. What am I meant to do? Have I stated they have? Have I said it's close to being done? No.
I think this guy needs to do more in his life, Terry. He's keeping track, and he knows his life.
He's on every stream. He was on the Sound Against stream last Thursday where we gave the update. There we go. Nothing else to say on that one, my friend. Nothing else to say on that one, my friend.
All good, Franklin.
Interesting. Let's do some other No, when you guys talk to each other in the chat, it's fine. But sometimes I go for it. I'm like, there's 20 comments, and none of them are to us. They're just about weird stuff that you all speak about. Neither are better options than Lukaku. I don't know what you mean, though, David. Who's neither?
Maybe he's talking about Werner and Haaland. Maybe Werner and Haaland are not as good
Maybe.
as
Yeah, specificity is key sometimes when it comes to reading out these comments because that doesn't make any sense to me. What else we got here? Terry, you said you'd give me a... This is the weirdest comment I've ever had. Terry, you said you'd give me a lift to work in 2003. You lied.
Whoa,
bro, you got to think about people in your life now. Just go through like the Rolodex. There's somebody you forgot to give a ride to, bro, and they're like, they found you.
That isn't true because I would have been 17 in 2003, and I didn't have my license for at least another year or so after that. So I couldn't have been driving. So it's definitely not like a weirdo from my past that's remembered something that I was meant to do.
Is this like a hidden member of the Glazer family that's trying to get dirt on United fans or something to try and get leverage to keep the club?
I don't know.
I see what David's saying. He said I would rather lose out on Haaland next year than get Lukaku this year. And I agree with that. That's what I mean by be patient. Like going after Lukaku is cool and all, but if you still believe you have a chance at Haaland, like if you could get him this year when his release clause is set, then that's it. It's open season. If they have a really good season this year, why wouldn't he choose Chelsea? Like, yes, Real Madrid and all of them will be there, but Chelsea just won the Champions League. Everybody keeps talking about it, Kings of Europe or whatever, right?
I guess they'd be more comfortable if they got assurances that even with more people coming in next year, that he would sign next year. For that, I think they'd only do that. They'd only get assurances that way. Where it's like we got a free run at him now with others coming in to next year. So maybe they'll seek assurances, but we know what people and their word means. Look at Harry Kane.
I completely agree with that. I'm just saying, like, you might as well just wait till next year. Like, I get it. You're right. There'll be other teams in there, and you may not win that race. But at very least, if you get Lukaku this year, there's no chance you're getting Haaland next year.
I think the risk if you wait till next year then is you look at this season and you look at Werner, what he could do. Yeah, as Thomas Tuchel is this world-class coach, you would need to use these next 2 months to get Werner firing to make him change his mind about next season. So if they are waiting until next season for a cheaper deal on Haaland, or even someone better comes along for a cheaper price, then you have the 12-month period now to work with Werner. You've got the youngsters to work with as backup for the cup games, etc. And you've got to look at Werner, get him in training, get him focused, get him working, and get him firing to the extent that Tuchel will change his mind, or at the very least consider Werner as part of the striker options rather than... Because in my opinion, if Haaland or Lukaku is coming in this year or next year, in my opinion, Werner cannot start over Haaland or Lukaku. So, in my opinion, he would play where he played as a teenager with Stuttgart and where he originally played, and that was being pushed out to the wide.
Well, I think Werner isn't an out-and-out lone striker. I think he wants to play off of somebody, and I think if you have a Lukaku or a Haaland there, what it does, it takes all the pressure of goal scoring away from Timo Werner, and I think that's what he needs. Donnie James, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Next up on the show, Slens Talks is with us, but make sure you've smashed the like button, ladies and gentlemen. You've shared this stream on your social media platforms, and you subscribed to the Football Terrace. Slens is here. Brother, smoke screens, Haaland informals, Lukaku the priority. What a day to be a Chelsea fan. What a day.
I mean, listen, you say it's what a day, yeah? But you know what? When you're talking to two girls and you're hoping that they both work out, what ends up happening? You end up with none.
Nah, mate, I got a better example. I was doing that once. I was chatting to two girls, right? Simone and Bianca. I hope you're doing very, very well, ladies. Met them both when I was working as a personal banker at Barclays in Stratford. Served them both. Got chatting to them both. Went out with them both. Did a little bit of the horizontal hula with both. All great time. All great times. And then one day, I was off work. And my boss phones me up. Get in now. I thought, I didn't know what I'd done wrong. I thought I'd lost the bank loads of money. Get in here now. I turned up and all the staff were looking at me and laughing. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Sit down. She's like, who's Simone and who's Bianca? I was like, why does that matter? I thought, they complained to the bank about me going out on a date with them. I don't know. There was no rule against that back then. They came in here and they were smashing the place up. What? Turns out they were cousins.
Oh man!
And they met. They see each other about 6-7 weeks, and they met. I've got a new fella. Let me see your fella. Let me see. Boom, same person. Yeah, they came in. The word about it, funniest bit about it was though, they both carried on texting me still. Oh, don't tell my cousin. Anyway, Slens, back to you, brother.
Yes,
back to you,
bro.
brother. Back to you.
Listen, I've been there, man. Listen, I went to meet one girl, ended up meeting both of them, bro. They knew each other, and listen, it went tits up. It went tits up, bro. So, as I'm saying, man, it's just dangerous to play with two. I honestly don't know what to believe anymore, man. Like, all the tier ones for Chelsea are saying Lukaku is the one we're going for, but then I don't understand why you're putting 3 bids in for your second choice, but you're not even trying to inquire or even put a bid in for your first choice. Honestly, I just don't know. I don't know. Should I believe Jan Fjortoft or should I believe Matt Law and the rest? For me, I'm happy with both. But as I said, my biggest worry is that we're going to end up with none. And we can't. As much as people say we have a great squad, we're champions of Europe. I've said this many times. I don't think our squad is as good as people think it is. I think we can score. We can create and score chances, but can we score and create chances to the same level of Man City if they get Grealish and Kane? Can we do it to the same level as Man United if they get Jadon Sancho and the rest? Like, I don't know. That's what worries me. So honestly, I think we're going to end up with Lukaku. Lukaku, but even I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm happy with Lukaku.
You were going to say Ings. You were going to say Ings. I know you, bro.
No harm in not being sure. I think the people that are, they're not wrong in their decision. The ones that are unequivocal online at the minute, the ones that are saying, no, Matt Law's lying, or no, Fabrizio is wrong. No, there's no informal. Or some people have got really confused today because they're like, how have we not made a public bid for Lukaku? Sorry, for Haaland, but we have for Lukaku that's not even our first choice. And it's like, bruv, that's the semantics and the fact that a transfer journalist from Italy speaks about it differently from a transfer journalist from Germany, who speaks about it differently from a transfer expert from the UK. It's learning to read what all those things mean. So have you noticed this year, nothing's an official bid now until it's a done deal now before an official bid goes in, essentially. Like, no one's putting official bids in until deals are done. So when you hear a journalist just kind of go, oh, Chelsea put 2 bids in, this is where it becomes confusing because people go, but you don't bid until it's done, so that don't make sense. It's because the language is all confused because people are protecting themselves. Essentially, whether it's an informal or formal offer, you're making a move. So I think what they've actually got to come out with, a bit like my wonderful emoji system, is create a system where it's universal language. If there's universal language, there wouldn't be this confusion today. Does that make sense? Like, at the end of the day, clubs don't seem to want to officially bid anymore until they know it's going to be accepted. So Lukaku's offers were not official bids. They were informal in exactly the same way as you've offered informal things to informal stuff to Dortmund. But then people would even deny the informal stuff, going, nope, this guy said there was no offer. And it's like, well, then how did Chelsea know what isn't acceptable if they haven't made any kind of inquiries? None of it makes any sense when you start.
I just want to ask you though, what would be the fee for Lukaku? Because if it's anywhere near Haaland's reported fee, then that's just annoying, isn't it? It's just annoying because I understand there's not many difference between quality, but the age factor is big here. And Haaland being currently Haaland's quality is close to Lukaku's, but in 2 or 3 years, I see him overtaking Lukaku on a much higher level and becoming one of the best strikers in the world.
I get a feeling. I think you could probably pick him up for between 80 to 90 million pounds, if I'm being honest.
Okay, that's reasonable. Yeah, that is reasonable. If it's more than 100, then I'm not going to be happy. Like, as much as I like Lukaku.
If Lukaku gets sold for 80 million or something, Freya's in the house.
Oh, look, see, that the Olympic ring.
Oi, Olympics.
Olympics, nice.
I as well. My son at the hijacked the room. Say hello, Jackson. No? Is that you? Is that people? Say hello. You've seen everyone.
That's cute.
All right. Go now. That'll be finished in 5 minutes.
Can you ask him who's coming to Chelsea? Can you ask him?
Yeah.
He knows.
Who's this? Is he a tier 1 source? Tier 1
Jackson,
source.
who's Haaland or Lukaku? He said Danny Ings. That's what he said.
I knew it. Tier 1 source right there.
Hang on. Nobody. Someone here says nobody says personal terms not an issue for Lukaku for Haaland. I swear I've seen that somewhere. Do you know what it is? I get confused what I haven't. I swear I've read that over the last however many months that it won't be an issue. No, we definitely saw that back in like the May time. Definitely that was said. Yeah, definitely. But Yeah, no, I reckon 80 to 90 million pounds you might be able to pick him up for ish.
Do you know what worries me though? You know Matt Law. I've always said this on the football series that my only hope to Haaland is him saying we registered interest, and until he comes out and says the interest is no longer there or we can't sign him or we sign Lukaku, that's when I'll start jumping on the Lukaku train. But obviously he's come out and said that today. But if you read this article, it says, this is what I'm so confused. It says this is all based on Dortmund completely closing the door on Haaland, and they obviously haven't yet. So it's basically saying in the article that it's still a possibility that Haaland could go through.
Because Swens, if you guys offer 180 or something, if you do something crazy, then yeah, Dortmund will be like, all right, we can't say no to that. But I don't think that's gonna I don't even think you would think that you guys would offer something that insane.
No.
So it's like that's what I just keep saying. It's not even hating at this point. It's just like the same thing happened to us last year. Like I'm sure you've put in reasonable offer bids, and Dortmund's been like, nope.
I'm not even hating, bro. Like I'm realistic, and I've heard a lot of fans say that if we don't sign anyone, we'll get Haaland next year. Listen, reality check. We're European champions. We're a great club, an incredible club, but the pool of Barcelona and Madrid is different to Chelsea's. Like they're a much higher level. Everyone dreams of playing for them. Even like I would say United to an extent, but we're closing the gap on United. I think those clubs difficult to compete with, even if we do offer the similar wages. Yeah. I'm just realistic in that term.
It's gonna be next summer makes it very, very different. Nabil, I just had a little search on the internet. So I think somebody quoted what's his face? Fabrizio is saying that on the 14th of July during his the Here We Go podcast, someone quoted him as saying it. What I would say is this: Chelsea would not have pursued Haaland this whole summer without knowing that he'd want to join. I've definitely heard people talk about how his mind was turned and he'd like to play for Chelsea now. He sees him as a club he'd like to join. Again, you may not have seen the words from someone say personal terms are not an issue, but they imply it in other things they say. But Nabil, again, lovely try, my friend. Lovely try today.
Chelsea won't make a bid unless they've already agreed personal terms. They're not going to make a bid and then agree personal terms.
Can you imagine Chelsea go for all this? They get it accepted. And Haaland's like, why did you think I joined you for? This is not going to happen.
No, that's the FIFA. I'll tell you where he's got it from. That's the FIFA model. You bid for the player on FIFA, and then you do the personal terms afterwards. This is the real world. You do the personal terms first. Remember, there's no such thing as tapping up, as we know, guys. You do the personal terms first. You agree the agent's fees, and then you seek out what type of bid they do, because then it will go through quicker. You don't do the personal terms afterwards. It just doesn't make any sense to do so.
Do you know whose silence is deafening though? Is one man, and it's Mino Raiola. Like, as much as I know he won't say anything about the deal, like that's incriminating, but he always puts these comments in. Like, even with Pogba, he has those comments, but there's been nothing from him. It's been very quiet. Like, and it's interesting, man, because I know what he's like, man. He's not a joke.
Yeah, it's going to certainly be an interesting one here. Mo with the super chat, thank you, sir. Says Lukaku and 120 million. Didn't he flop at United? He's doing well right now because of Serie A, for God's sake. Chelsea need to trust what they've got if Haaland is not coming. I suppose that is a concern, isn't it? Can you imagine you go to all this trouble, you bring back Lukaku, and it's the same Lukaku at like Man United or Chelsea from before, and he's not that good. Like, the banter level would be amazing, wouldn't it? Like, the banter would be huge. It'd be huge.
I don't know. It's a little disrespectful though. Like, for you to say he flopped at United, I know he wasn't as good as he once was, but listen, the level he's reached at Inter Milan. If he never played for United, every club in Europe would be out for him. Every fan would be saying, "Oh, let's get Lukaku in from the Serie A. He's an incredible striker." Like, I'm sorry, even at Everton, he was incredible. So
yeah, his whole game's changed. His lifestyle's changed. He's looking meaner. I think
as well, though. What Cam said this yesterday. I don't know if this it might have been in a group chat rather than on the air, but about how the Premier League now fans are caring more about who's telling you the news than what the news is.
Yeah,
and I think because the European tier ones have all been pretty universal this whole summer, talking about Lukaku won't be leaving and he's happy. But I just go back to, for me, the most credible European source when it comes to Lukaku, forget Inter for a minute, when it comes to Lukaku, is Christophe Terreur, who is the leading Belgian journalist out there. And he said it. He said, like, yeah, the player's saying it. But I remember his exact words to me were, I've learned in my career to take those kind of comments with a pinch of salt. Let's see how he feels when he arrives back. Let's see what his reaction is to particular players being sold. Let's also not forget that Inter have got a very bad financial situation. And just after selling one or two players, that may not be enough. Those factors were said to us back in May. And nothing has overtly changed since then. And I tell you what's going to be really key, because what I wouldn't mind seeing is a little bit of an update saying Arsenal progress their conversations sort of rapidly with really quickly or rapidly with Martinez, and then then it really puts Chelsea into a bit of a pickle where they've got to act soon. I thought that'd be amazing, just from a race point of view. It's really nice as well though, because like Man United have got their main two targets, and we're just looking for a little bit of
Yeah, finally.
That was us last summer, man.
Finally.
Last summer.
Yeah.
Things
Get your
change.
transfer business done.
What a difference a year makes, man. Like last year, Terry, we were on here just every time being like, no, we just got to believe Sancho's coming. We just got to believe it. At this point, it's no, like we had to believe he's coming until the last day.
Just what we were saying here, Fabrizio Romano has just said on his stream that Lukaku is staying. Inter won't steal him, but Lautaro is a different story. Chelsea could go for him, maybe. I think the Chelsea could go for him, maybe, is Arjan suggesting that as opposed to Fabrizio saying it. But I do get that, and I'm not questioning Fabrizio. I'm just saying, like Matt Law and Simon Johnson, they're not like two bob.
They're not hacks.
Like, I'm very intrigued by this in terms of what's going on. And remember, Fabrizio, if you ask Fabrizio this question, he'd tell you Inter could have told him that today and then changed their mind tomorrow. So I'm just intrigued. What I'm really intrigued about is the fan reaction to whatever happens. Because if Lukaku doesn't leave, and Chelsea, if they get Haaland, no one's going to care about the Lukaku situation. If you don't get Haaland and you don't get Lukaku, I can't wait to see the reaction towards Matt Law and Simon at the Athletic. Equally, if you do land Lukaku, I'm intrigued to see. But you know what? I'm just intrigued to see people's reaction to it. Like, I'm just intrigued because I love human behavior. It's very, very strange.
Honestly, though, they were the first ones to report about Lampard sacking. They were the first ones, even way before it even happened. They were saying he was under pressure.
3 weeks before.
Yeah, and people didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happened where it actually did happen. They recorded everything. It was in an article. And you know what? Like, if every single one of them's come out at the same time, that does tell me they got briefed. But at the same time, these journalists rely on their reliability, right? If they don't have reliability, they have nothing. So they won't come out and say things like this if there wasn't an inch of truth in it. Like, there's no smoke without fire, I've always said. And listen, a lot of people have maintained that Lukaku has always been our second choice. Christoph Terra on the terrace has said that. Dan McCarthy as well said that. So, yeah, again, there's no smoke without fire.
But other reports as well. These are just the little ones there. So this is... He said, like, Martinez is a different story. Cool. But why do they want to sell Martinez? Money. Right? The report the other day, again, from another credible source about Martinez, and who was it that reported about that? It was David Ornstein, that they want to get rid of Martinez because they want to ensure Lukaku doesn't leave. That's what I mean by these stories. And it's great, by the way. This is how it should be. How boring would it be if every journalist had the same story? It's like, for me, it's great fun. It's great fun. I love it.
Maybe for you, Terry.
It goes back to what you were saying, though. If they sell Martinez and they've sold Hakimi, it's like, at what point is Lukaku going to be like, all right, cool, I guess, like, I got to leave too, because Inter's a good squad right now, but at what point, if I'm Lukaku, so this is the thing, what I would, if I was a Chelsea fan, and again, this is what I would say if I were you guys, I would be like, okay, cool, if we can't get Haaland this year, that means he's staying at Dortmund. That means there's still a chance next year. If we can't get Lukaku this year, that means he's staying at Inter. That means there'll still be a chance next year. If they sell everybody and they suck, you could just go get Lukaku for cheap if you don't get Haaland. Like, you could get him for less than, because right now what Inter's probably telling you, to quote Dave, is tell a man I want 100 M's. That's probably what they're saying. They're probably like, cool, if you want Lukaku, we want a lot of money.
You know,
and you guys are probably saying no.
Yeah. Do you know what I like about it as well, though, is this angle. A few people are saying that Matt Law is like a puppet to Chelsea. He'll say what they want him to say. I mean, could Fabrizio not be saying what Inter want him to say?
Yes.
It stands to reason. Like these things can happen. And by the way, like I would Fabrizio, of course, could be right. I just love it. So the reason I say that is it's been about 7 or because Simon Johnson has just tweeted again saying Chelsea have failed with 2 bids for Lukaku. Will be the 3rd time lucky as they now show signs of giving up on Haaland. The piece from earlier, right? So he's actually said that 3rd bid. People said I made a 3rd bid up later. That's weird. Again, he didn't say in his article they're going to make a 3rd bid, but when you read it, it's what it implies, right? If you've got a brain, you can understand what imply means. But nearly every reply so far is your news is shit. Your news, put it in the bin. Fabrizio just done you. That's what this has become now. It's like a wrestling match, and that's why I love it. It's great. It's great. It's like they're putting their trust in him. It's going to be amazing to see how this one turns out. I cannot wait. My prediction is they're going to sign either one of those players or none of them. That's my prediction here. Either one of them or none of them.
Hedge your bets. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah.
We're gonna dudes on Twitter gonna be just Terry's a waffler. Terry's a waffler.
Terry said this. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, it's a joke, bruv. It's a joke.
I'm glad you guys are having fun, man, because I'm definitely not, man. This is not fun. This is not fun.
No.
Listen, when you've got Varane and Sancho turning up, we're going to have a fit Rashford next season. We'll probably sign a little midfielder. Pogba might stay. Something that I think Fabrizio said earlier on today was that Man United are going to look to, they might let it go beyond the transfer window and still try and renew Pogba's contract. And trust me, Ollie wouldn't do that unless they trusted him. So, yeah, man, let's do that. But listen, everyone who's tuned in this afternoon, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Please make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already. But until next time, take care. Goodbye.